From applicant to admitted, navigating the competitive admissions landscape of the world's leading universities. I'm Anitha Weiss, the Assistant Director of Pre-College Recruitment at Columbia University in New York. Prestigious universities earn their ranking, in part, by being highly selective in the admissions process, matching students and programs to ensure an outstanding university student experience both in and out of the classroom. Beyond rank and reputation, how does a student choose the right university for them when each has its own culture and ethos? In this panel, leaders from top universities discuss focus, fit, and future. Together, we'll explore what students, their families, and guidance counselors should consider when navigating the admissions process of these highly competitive institutions. Now, let's meet our panelists. First is Zorian Wong. She is the Manager of Undergraduate Recruitment for the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Well, I'm very happy to be at this panel and looking forward to sharing more about our university with you during our panel. Thank you.
Thanks, Zorian. Nicholas David is the International Recruitment Officer for McGill University.
Well, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good night to whoever, everywhere you're listening to us. I'm very happy to be here and be present and give you guys more insight into our process of admission.
And last but not least, Inayat Patel is the International Regional Manager for the University of Cambridge.
Thank you very much, Anita. Hi, everyone. Looking forward to a fantastic session today.
Wonderful. So let's go ahead and get started. Each of our panelists today represent a prestigious university that has earned its reputation and ranking from excelling in teaching, curriculum, research, alumni success, and of course, for providing outstanding student experiences and supporting future outcomes. Elite universities are known for their highly selective admissions processes, and knowing the culture of a university and its priorities can be very helpful for students to match a university with their aspirations and needs. Zorian, in your role at the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, ensuring students match well to their program choice is a key element of your work. As a world-class research-intensive university, what strengths do you expect to see from applicants, and what does a successful applicant profile look like in terms of the activities and interests a student has been involved in during high school years?
Well, thank you, Anita, for the question. First of all, I would just like to stress that HKUST adopts a very flexible application or program choices during admission. So we make sure that the students have 1 full year to just explore around all their available options during the first year. So whichever program or schools they are admitted to, they don't have to fix on their major in the first year. They will be doing foundation courses, pre-major, or common core courses or general education courses during the first year. And they have the full year to explore around all their options, even from programs that are not provided by their own school. So at the end of the first year, they would join. All of them would join the major selection exercise. That's when they fix on their major, and that's when they really they can have a first major, of course, which may be from their own school, and second major or even a third major that could be from another school or from interdisciplinary programs. So it's all very flexible. We are not very selective when they choose their major, but we make it very optional for them to choose their major during the first year. So that's a very flexible curriculum. And for the application profile, we do take a very holistic approach when we review the applications. Of course, the scores and transcript and examination results are very important, but then that's not the only criteria. We do look at the personal statement, we do read them. There are the recommendation letter or letters from the referees or teachers, and then there are high school transcripts, and if there are awards, there are certificates they consider relevant to the application. We will all read them, and then there may be interview conducted, so there in interview performance, we'll be considering that as well. So it's not just based on scores and programs and grades, but I would just say as a university from Asia in general, so They are important, but they're not the only criteria. So that's HKUST.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that in-depth answer. So shifting from Asia to North America now, Canada continues to be a leading destination for international students. 42% of Rosedale Global High School's 2023 graduating class received offers to Canadian universities, with cities like Toronto and Montreal becoming home for many of these students. McGill is incredibly competitive in the Canadian landscape and is often compared to the United States Ivy League education. Nicholas, when you're speaking with students, what do you share with them about the culture of McGill and of Canada? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. So very good question. So usually when I usually share the culture of McGill and Canada and itself, just being inside of Montreal, I always start with the diversity and inclusivity of itself of Canada, because Canada itself, through the last census in 2021, we had over 450 different cultures inside of Canada itself. So it's a very diverse, very inclusive cities all throughout Canada, and McGill itself prides itself very much into that as well. That means the students that come to our school, the people that attend our university, they're all from all over the world. They're all diverse students. They're all inclusive ways to include our students throughout different paths, throughout different ways that McGill does take into account. And through our student body itself, very diverse type of students. Even the professors itself is very diverse type of students. So the inclusivity that Canada holds, we have it as well as McGill, and the diversity itself that we have at McGill is as well spread throughout Canada. So that is something that we trying to tend to talk about a lot when it comes to McGill and Canada. Also, we talk about, when we speak about Canada, we talk about something that's very distinctive away from our southern border friends. We're a very multilingual environment. What I speak about that is that throughout Canada, the official languages are English and French, but McGill being in the province of Quebec, the official language of Quebec itself is French. So not only does the students in Canada, if you come to decide to come study in Canada in general, you could study either in both languages. If you want to study in French, you can. You can study in English as well. And as McGill University, even though we're completely English University itself, you are able to learn French throughout our minor courses or throughout our school, or as well, just being in Quebec itself, just being in Montreal, you're able to move around and being able to speak French, work on it, and at the same time, you're developing a new skill. So if English is your first language, you can and you could leave out of McGill acquired a new skill in a language set as is French as well. What else can we talk about when we usually talk about McGill and their students and about Canada itself? Sorry, my first language is French, so I have a hard time with some words. But talk about how polite and how hospitable Canada is as a country itself. We're always the peace and love type of country, as they say. That is something that is very aware and that is very entitled and ingrained in the culture of Canadians. What we mean by that is that the reputation and the friendliness of our students is reflected throughout everybody that's Canadian and throughout the culture of our students, our student body, our workers, and also the professors at our university. When we speak about Canada, we also speak about safetyness, something very important. A lot of times parents are going to leave their first child, or they're going to let their kids go to another university across the world, and you want to make sure that they're safe. So that is something that we pride ourselves into. Montreal is an extremely safe city. Canada itself is a very safe country, and I would not say that we're not polite and just friendly people out of nature. It is something that just comes to us, and definitely a great place to be a part of as a student and be part as a citizen, not only in Canada, but McGill as well. But we embody that very, very much.
Thank you. I actually took a trip to Quebec a few years back and had the pleasure of walking around McGill's campus, so I can attest to the fact that it is a very beautiful campus.
Thank you very much.
So now on to Inayat. Cambridge competes at the highest international level when it comes to education, learning, and research, and its undergraduate admissions are notoriously competitive. What criteria would you say are of high importance in the admissions process, and what qualities embody the ethos of Cambridge?
Another great question, Anita. You're really pulling out the big guns for this one. As far as Cambridge is concerned, I think our ethos really stems from our academic prowess. What we care for amongst our student body more than anything else is, as was mentioned by Nicholas, the diversity demographically, but also the academic diversity. Beyond kind of where students come from, we also want to know what skills, what knowledge, what experiences they have and they bring to our communities to offer an opportunity to share and learn from each other. And that ecosystem that we build as part of our institution is what we pride ourselves on quite a lot. And our reputation stems from our student body. It's the work that our students produce. It's our alumni. It's how they kind of continue through their student journey and beyond. That really establishes our reputation and gives us the opportunity to kind of be on the world platform in the way that we are. And so that's something we pride ourselves on. What we're looking for from our student body beyond kind of just the general the grades and the high achievements is also something that we call supercurricular activity. And these are activities that students take outside of their high school curriculums that are academic in nature. So supercurricular is similar to extracurricular for those who aren't entirely aware. And extracurricular is things like sports, music, drama, arts, charity work. And as great as they are, and as much as they might define a person's personality or interests, it's not something we assess academically. So where we're interested in academic experiences and challenges that students kind of throw themselves into, that supercurricular is what we use to separate our students. That could be reading books or reading from our recommended reading lists. It could be taking part in an academic competition. It could be being involved in a conference related to the course you're applying for, or it could be work experience, although that's not a necessary activity. It's really a question of what you gain from whichever activity that you do and available to you. So generally the type of students that we want are those who are academically involved, academically disciplined, and demonstrate a particular knack for research. We are a research institution at the end of the day. That is, again, why we are a decorated institution, because of the type of research that we produce. And if students can demonstrate that early on, then we're slightly more inclined towards that kind of profile.
Wonderful. So slight confession, I have a daughter who is applying to graduate school, and I have been pushing hard for her to apply to Cambridge. So we'll see if I'm successful. But let's move on to our next set of questions now. And actually, what you were saying about supercurricular activities is the perfect segue into our next component. So universities such as McGill offer the McGill Summer Academy, and there's HKUST Summer Institute and Summer Exchange Program, not to mention Columbia University's pre-college programs, which I represent. So let's go around and have the panelists tell us a bit more on these types of preparation programs that support students and bridge them from high school to higher education. From your perspective, what advantage does participating in a program like this at your university provide the prospective student? Let's start with Nicholas from McGill.
Thank you very much. So let's start off with the McGill Summer Academy. So usually the McGill Summer Academy is something that's held during the summer, during the month of July. How would we say that it prepares the student for the higher education? So one of the main things that throughout McGill Summer Academy and having the chance of participating and being around the person that handles all the McGill Summer Academy, I could say one thing that I'm definite of, it helps the student understand more about the McGill culture itself. So the students themselves, when they come to our school, they're housed in the student housing. They know how it feels to wake up in the morning. They know how it is to be in the student housing, where their building would be, what it looks like when they're walking out and going to a class. Because during that period, we do have classes where the students are allowed to explore certain aspects of the academic that they would like to work on. Maybe if it might be science, it might be a little bit more finance, it might be more in arts. So they're able to have the dip and dab in their hands in different subjects and really being able to see what it's the life of a student at McGill University. There are professors there teaching them, so they're not being taught by TAs or anything of that nature. Really, the professors that are teaching directly the program itself. So that permits the student to see, is this something that I'm there for? Is this something that I really want to study? Is this a school that I want to attend? As well, throughout the McGill Summer Academy, we we also visit the Montreal and the surrounding areas. So we do go to museums, we do go to the old port of Montreal, we do visit parks, we do activities, we do team building. All through all of that, that also gives the students a little sense of belonging when they come to McGill University, as they would say. It makes them feel part of the team. And that is something that we always try to tell our students. Yes, it's preparing you for higher education. We're also helping you strengthen your ways of studying before you attend our university. But at the same time, we're also letting you know that once you are part of McGill, you are part of our family. And that's something that we also attend to, that to say that being part of that McGill Summer Academy is something that does ingrain into students what McGill is all about.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that. I'll just put you on the spot for a second. Do you know what types of courses that you offer?
So usually last year we had the life and science classes. So we had some science classes, but we also had some arts programs. So this also helps the students because we accept, last year we had only about 220 students for the whole summer, and it's all divided in two groups, to one for the first 2 weeks of July and the last one for the last 2 weeks. So it helps students get a little bit of both worlds, and it helps them also give an idea if this is what they're really interested in studying and pursuing later down.
That's fantastic. And I'll just ask you a couple more follow-up questions. So
Yes.
at Columbia, our program is for grades 9 through 12. What is your grade or age range for your students?
So we're looking at 17 and over, but it's usually for grades 10 and 11.
Okay, fantastic. So I was going to ask Zorian next, but I think we'll move on and come back to that question. High school guidance counselors play a large role in supporting their students in applying to universities and finding programs that meet their needs. What resources does your admissions office provide to guidance counselors to assist them in supporting students who wish to attend your university and ensuring you're increasing the number of qualified applicants your university receives? So let's toss this one over to Inayat.
Thank you, Anita. So Cambridge is in a very privileged position to have an international team of the scale that we have now. It's not something we've always had, and a big reason as to why we have a team of what is now 9 to 10 people is so we can support our international network, support the counsellors across the world and also in the UK, but give them the resources and the support that they need, not only signposting, but also physically attending some of these events and going out in country, in region, to provide the information to bust any myths that have built up over the years, and to really give them the confidence and empower the counsellors so that they have the information that they need to support their students, to support their parents when they're counselling on our behalf. So one of the resources is obviously the personnel. Beyond that, we obviously have your standard materials, and we have an international newsletter that we post quarterly currently, but they go out as frequently as needed, depending on the information updated. But our anchor event through the year is the International Guidance Counsellor Conference. And now that's something we pride ourselves on quite a lot. My team put a lot of work in putting this event together. Currently, it's a hybrid offering. So counsellors are invited both in person, and then we also have an online version of the Guidance Counsellor Conference. And it's a fantastic opportunity for international counsellors across the world to get involved, to learn about Cambridge, both kind of experienced counsellors and new counsellors and everything in between, to really get a feel for what the institution is like, what our expectations are, what does an interview look like, what is a supervision, what are the admissions assessments, and how are they received by the institution. And again, it's just another way of empowering the counsellors and giving them a toolkit to go forth and pass on that empowerment and that preparation to their students.
So I'll ask you a little bit of a follow-up question. In the US, the guidance counselor recommendation letter plays a large part in the application process. Does it have the same sort of weight in your process as well?
Very much so. As far as Cambridge is concerned, we have a holistic approach to the application process. What that means is we look at the academic grades, we look at a student's personal statement, and we will look at the admission assessments and the interviews. But amongst that, we also very much look at the references that is provided by the school. It's very rare that we receive a bad reference in our over 800 years of doing what we do. We very rarely receive a bad reference, but we know the good ones from the not so good ones. And that's typically the ones that are formulaic, the ones that follow a particular template. You know, they're not particularly tailored or super excited about positioning the student for a selective institution. So the references that are the most exciting for us, or the ones that really pique our interest, are the ones that are rather unique, that emphasize the qualities of the student, that supplement the personal statement rather than repeat anything that's already been put in. And often students who are applying to selective universities like Cambridge will have the support of their school, their teachers, their head teachers, their counsellors, etc. And that energy and that enthusiasm really comes across in the reference. And so that's what we're looking for. And to answer your question, yes, it does play a big role, and it helps us to decide, often at a more competitive level, whether or not a candidate is the right type of student for us, beyond what they've said of their own accord.
Thank you. I know that's going to be very helpful for our students. I'm going to go back to Zorian now. Zorian, I'd like to know a little bit more about your Summer Institute and Summer Exchange program. Can you tell us, from your perspective, what advantage does participating in that program provide for a prospective student?
Well, just to make sure my audio is playing well, right? You can hear me. Okay. First of all, the Summer Institute, it's an annual summer program that we run every year, and all our 4 schools, and now 5 schools, the School of Science, the School of Engineering, Business and Management, Humanities and Social Science, and a number of the interdisciplinary programs. We offer some selected programs for students who are interested to have a taste of the HKUST teaching style, the course, and their assignment, what teaching is like at HKUST, the campus. So they have the full 2 weeks. We do have, currently we have 1 module, which is 2 weeks. They can just to taste around the campus and see how beautiful our CSER campuses are, and take the courses just like a university student at HKUST, and find out there, maybe have an early taste of our programs, and we will help them better choose what programs they will apply when they really enter their application process. And 1 credit will be counted for one of the programs they take when they are really admitted to HKUST. So it's an early taste, and we really recommend students who are interested in HKUST to try to apply for it and join our programs. And not just the academic courses, there are programs also provided during the Summer Institute. They will also have lab experiences. They will have extracurriculars arranged. While it's not a residential program, they will certainly have 2 weeks to experience Hong Kong, the city itself. So that's our Summer Institute.
So I'll ask you a quick follow-up question. At Columbia, our classes come, we have introductory classes for students who have no background, and then we also have some classes that are more specific and require certain prerequisites for students to be able to participate. What sort of skill level do your summer students need to have to participate in your program?
Well, absolutely none required. They just need to be in their senior high school, so grade 11 or above, or grade 10 or above, they can try to apply. There's no skill required, and we may, because there are many applicants, we may have a selection process there, so they need to provide their high school transcript, and if they have already taken some examinations, they can provide their examination results. So there are screening, but mostly based on the high school transcript, and they may be required to write a personal statement, but then there's absolutely nothing else required.
That's very helpful, actually. I mean, one of the things I love about that type of an application is that it gets students ready by doing that application when it's time for them to actually do their college applications. It won't be such a new experience. They will have had a little bit of a taste of that in applying to a summer program. So I think that's fantastic as well. So let's jump back now to our high school guidance counselor question. I'll repeat the question again just to refresh your memory. So Nicholas, I'm coming for you. High school guidance counselors play a large role in supporting their students in applying to universities and finding programs that meet their needs. What resources does your admissions office provide to guidance counselors to assist them in supporting students who wish to attend your university and ensuring you're increasing the number of qualified applicants to you? Excuse me, the number of qualified applicants your university receives?
Perfect. So definitely one of the main things that we usually do, we start off with the view book. So the view books are usually transferred to the universities that we usually do, wouldn't say business with, but universities that usually have relationship with us where they tend to usually send students. Those where the review books are usually going to be spread out. After that, we do tend to go to most of the open houses. We do show up at the open houses at our universities, tend to invite all the universities to come through, have all the parents, everybody try to come through, to have the guidance counselors to come speak with the professors. It's one of those moments where it's a very good advantage for for the counselors to come to your university to be able to talk to the professors as well. We also have we also do school presentations, so we do tend to go to schools when they have let's say college recruitment nights. We go there during college recruitment nights. We also go to university, certain high schools, just to do a presentation of the university. So certain high schools will have a certain amount of students that are interested in doing coming to University of McGill. So to that nature, we'll have an admission officer go there and explain them the whole process on how to enter a university and exactly what grades they would need and how it what functions and the deadlines and everything that's related to the admissions. As well, we also not only do it in Montreal or in Quebec, but we also do it throughout Canada, and we also travel internationally. So that is but present. We'll either go sometimes we'll go to fairs, we'll go to conferences in Brazil, we'll go to Turkey, we'll go to Ireland, we'll go to Switzerland, such and such, just to make sure that our presence is known. But also we also take the time to meet with counselors while we're there, speak to them, learn about what's going on with them and their processes. Are they having more students that want to apply? If yes, what's blocking them? What's are their scares? So we sit with them, try to figure out every other solution. And if we can't fix the solution, if we can't fix the problem at that present moment, we bring it back, spread it to the team and the admission team, and from there on, we'll find solutions to be able to help the counselor in that situation. There is also counselors that do come. There's also certain counselor meetings throughout the year that McGill offers to counselors, and that goes throughout the world. So the counselors come to McGill University, spend a couple hours or a couple days depending on the situation, and then they learn more about our school, how we function. They visit the school, they learn about our STEM programs, everything of that nature, and they're able to visit the facilities as well. So that also tends to makes the counselor more aware of what we're about, but also helps them to help the students in knowing, okay, if you go to that school, this is how you have to get around. This is how big these classrooms are. This is what this is how much what grades you need to enter this program and such and such. So we also make sure that the people, once they leave us, they have all the information necessary to be able to have for them to be able to answer. Also, we offer talk with students, so that is something that is pretty popular as well. That helps the student. If a teacher is having an idea and the student wants to speak to another student about being in a chemistry program or about being in neurosciences or anything of that nature, then it's a possibility for them to talk with a student. So they would just have to go on our website, be able to book a day and talk with a student that's presently doing that same program. So that helps a lot for the students to confirm their choices, but also see that we're not lying to them. And neither was the guidance counselor. So we always tell them it's a good way to be able to talk with a student and see what they're about and what they have to offer. That helps the counselors a lot, and that's the feedback that we tend to get back often.
So I'll just ask you one follow-up question.
Yes.
If you had one piece of advice that you were going to give guidance counselors to relay to their students in applying to McGill, what would you tell them to tell their students?
Well, one thing I would tell them to do is even if they want to enter McGill University, it's definitely sure that like any university that's here that's present today, you're gonna have to put the work in. But one thing I always try to tell my guidance counselor is to make sure that they develop the students' interest. right? So some students, when they're coming directly from high school, they have interests that haven't been developed. They don't know if they really want to do this such and such program. Sometimes interior influences have so much power that most people don't understand, that it would be good for the counselors to tend to either do career shadowing with some of these students before they enter McGill University, to make sure that maybe McGill is probably not the best fit for you guys. Maybe this is not the place that the student wants to go, or maybe he wants to go there for different reasons that do not correspond. So I always try to tell them, make sure to help the student develop their interest before they decide to apply at McGill University, with such examples such as career shadowing. Invite more people maybe to your school to talk about certain careers, what they're about, what they entail, not only on the studying level, but what are they going to do after they finish the university? What is their thoughts open to them? We do offer that service, but that's a service I always try to do it as early as possible to confirm. You don't want to confirm bad choices down the line.
Thank you. Thank you for that thoughtful response. Okay, so Zorian, last but not least, can you tell us a little bit about what your university does to provide guidance counselors with assistance to support students who are interested in attending your university?
Actually, because as already mentioned, so all the activities that we host roughly 400 to 500 activities that are mostly connected or coordinated through guidance counselors of different high schools globally. So locally, internationally, in Asia region, we have all these school visits, whether it's virtual, whether it's physical. We try to visit all the schools who express interest in sending their students to HKUST. Of course, we do have some more well-connected high schools in this region, but we're always welcome. Do email us if you'd like us to have a section with you, whether it's online. We're always ready to do so, and we do have a special section, mostly online, but for local Hong Kong, guidance counselor will be physical. So we have this counselor section, online section, that we connect with all the guidance counselors from different regions around the globe. So we question students to just to communicate and relate to guidance counselors, and if they have any questions, like also on behalf of their students, they can ask us, and we're pretty transparent in our application process. So their expected scores, their boundaries, we always inform our guidance counselors. We don't keep it as a secret or anything. It's absolutely public. It's on our website, so they can always refer to it. But there are maybe different selection criteria of different qualifications. We are always ready to again communicate with the guidance counselors. There are counselor flying programs. We host that now that COVID is gone. So when we're back to normal, we have counselor flying programs annually for international guidance counselors or MTM, mainland China and Taiwan counselors. We host that so they can come actually physically to our online campus, and really have take a look around and really have a taste lecture. Then they will know how students or what student life is, and we do have student ambassadors to guide them to tour around the campus and to get them to our programs and actual lectures, so they will absolutely know what really happens to a student when they enter HKUST. And we do have the live chat that's online on our website. Any student or teacher or parent who would like to have if they have any question, they can connect with our admission officer every day from Monday to Friday for 2 hours every day, and it's live chat. They can ask us any question. And we do have over 100 student ambassadors. They are profiles online. They can connect with any of them from the specific program, from different nationalities. They can connect with them and just ask them any question they would like to have. So that's all the resources we have at this moment. But anytime, if they have any question, they can come to us, email us. We're always ready to provide any advice we could provide.
That's wonderful. I love how supportive and accessible you are. So let's switch gears a little bit. I have a question for you, Nicholas. What strengths of your university should students consider?
Well, from our university, one of the strengths that they should consider is definitely the fact that our diplomas are known worldwide. Which what I mean by that is that even if you graduate at McGill University and you decide to go to Europe or Germany, let me go somewhere, for example, like Germany, or you decide to go to Switzerland or anything of that nature, that diploma is still going to be worth as much as it was worth the moment that you stepped at McGill University. So that is one thing I always try to tell my students, that the students to remember that is something that is worth a lot. As much as some places they might tell you, oh, you have to do this, you have to do extra of this of that nature, but no, but that McGill University will help you. It is known, it is worldwide. It is something that's going to help you get through the door as well. Also, something students should definitely take in consideration when they need to know about our university is that we're really big when it comes to research and innovation. So this is something that we pride ourselves into when it comes either for our engineering faculty or our science programs. Something that's very important to us is the research that we do. That is one of the ways that McGill University gets funding, is through our research, and one of the reasons why we're a leading university to research inside of Canada itself. So that is something I always try to tell students to keep in mind, that research, if you come here, you'll be able to do a lot of research, and research is also provided starting from your first year as a freshman at the University of McGill as well.
Wonderful. Okay. Zorian, what strengths of your university should students consider?
First of all, we are the first research university in Greater China region, and we're the first one in Asia to provide the undergraduate research opportunities program. So letting students starting from year one in their freshman year, they can already join research project led by our faculties and join the research team to have an early taste of what scientific research and academic research is like. It's we provide abundant opportunities, and the essence, or the how should I say, we do want our students to really explore around all the possibilities that for them. So we try to provide them exchange, research, internship, extracurriculars, all these. As a research university, they don't really have to like research to join their Europe project I just mentioned. We just like them to have a taste, and maybe after spending a semester doing a scientific research with the research team, they may develop their interest in research. So exploration is the key part of our undergraduate study. So we like them to try everything, to explore their own potential and find their true passion. So that's the one part. And then now I would like to go back to our flexible curriculum again. Just like I mentioned at the very beginning, our curriculum is, again, very flexible. Even if they are, whichever program or school they are admitted to, they always have the option of, changing their major after the first year. During the major selection exercise, they can have second major, third major, they can have minors. And we are very innovative in our programs. While AI is becoming very trendy for all high school students globally, we make AI not as a specific major program that are designated for computer science or computer engineering students. We make it as what we call the extended major, which means students from business school, from science school, from engineering school, from some interdisciplinary programs, they all have the options having a AI as their extended major. So even if you are a finance student, you can choose to have your first major in finance, then have an extended major in AI, and the AI part will be relevant to finance, your first major. So we're very innovative in our program provisions, and we make our program very flexible to go back to the abundant opportunities part. So other than the non-academic part, our academic part is also very flexible, and just like our students really find their true passion academically, non-academically, and when they graduate, they will, all gear up for the real world, whether it's for career, whether it's for academic pursuits, so anything to prepare them for the real world. So that's HKUST.
Oh, that's wonderful. That AI extension sounds fascinating. I wish they had that around when I was in school. So let's switch gears a little bit. Each university focuses on different priorities. I'd love to hear your opinion on which of these is of high importance to your university. Is it the classroom experience, student life and leadership, preparation for career, or innovation and research? And why do you feel this is a standout for you? So we'll start with Inayat.
Thank you very much. Like I mentioned earlier, Anita, as far as the institution goes, our reputation precedes itself. The university is really known for research and innovation, and that's what we pride ourselves on the most. Everything you mentioned has its own place through the academic journey of a student, and at different times of the academic year. The classroom is more important, preparation for progression is important, their careers, etc. But the common thread across all of their academic career with us is that research and innovation piece. It's what we expect our students to be preparing for prior to application. It's what we expect them to prioritize the most and work on the most when whilst they are with us. And it's what we expect them to kind of pursue even after they've kind of graced our halls. So innovation and research is definitely something that we care for the most amongst other things. What I will also stress is we're very lucky to be as decorated as we are, and that comes from, I mentioned the student body, but it also comes from the fantastic academic teams that we have. We have a very strong academic team, again, very decorated. I believe 121 associates of the institution are Nobel Prize laureates or nominees. And that's just one metric. That's just one way of identifying the world-class nature of our academic team. And so students have the opportunity to have supervisions with these very well received researchers, and that's something students should really look forward to. Supervisions, for those who aren't familiar, are rather unique to a collegiate style of teaching and learning. So Cambridge University is a collegiate university, which means we have 29 undergraduate colleges which form the University of Cambridge. So we don't have one kind of headquarters or main campus. We're built up of all of these colleges. And supervisions happen within these colleges where one supervisor, who's typically an expert in a particular field, will sit with one student or a group of 2 or 3 students and work with them throughout their time on a particular subject area or the entirety of their degree, and challenge the work that they produce, challenge their research, shred it to pieces, tear it apart, throw it in the bin. So by the time they come back and build it all back up again, it's as good as it was ever going to be. And that's it's something that students really should look forward to. And it then comes back to that piece of innovation and research that we really kind of put all our efforts in.
Oh, fantastic. It sounds amazing. Nicholas, how about you? So which aspect of a student's prior life is important to you? Is it the classroom experience, student life and leadership, preparation for career, or innovation and research?
Very good question. I would definitely stay the classroom learning as definitely the way that, because the thing is, this is depending on where you study and where you learn, everybody's going to learn different ways and different ways to learn as well. So definitely the classroom really would be one of the most advanced ways for us to take it into consideration. As our school, we do not, as McGill University, we don't read essays, we don't do any presentation letters or anything of that nature. We're strictly academically based mission school. So looking at what you learn in school and what type of programs you learn, so the prerequisites are very going to be important to us. If you've done calculus, with the chemistry programs you got into, the science programs, with the math classes that you took, even if you're going to get into arts, we're going to look into what type of arts program have you taken, what have you been a part of, what type of arts? Are you just done drawing? Have you been into sculpting? What have you learned in these classes? And it's very important to understand the way that the way that you're going to learn in these classes is going to be important to us, because you're going to have to be able to apply those ways of learning, those ways of studying at the university level the moment that you enter McGill University, which is not something that's easy for everybody, depending exactly on the way that you learned in your classroom previously. So I always tell people that in school learning and class learning is always going to be an advantage. Being able to be organized in your way of studying as well is going to be something that's very going to be important. Did your school mostly tend to just give you at home work, or did they give you in class essays? Did they really take the time to be able to make you understand what you're reading, what you're learning, than just knowing what you're learning and what you're reading? So that's really going to be in class to us is going to be the most important.
Wonderful. That was actually very informative. I love hearing the differences in the universities as well. You're all world-class universities, but you all have a different spin on things, which is really fascinating. So Zorian, which is your standout? Is it classroom experience, student life and leadership, preparation for career, or innovation and research? Which is the one that you look for?
All of them, actually. So just like I mentioned earlier, flexibility and abundant opportunities are the key essence of our UG curriculum or program or the structure. We try to provide as many opportunities for our students as possible. So just go back to the innovative programs part. We're one of the only 5 universities in the whole world to provide a design your own major option for our students. So in a way, it proves that we are really supportive for our students pursue, whether it's academic or non-academic, and the extended major part and all the other opportunities. Now, experiential learning is very important, just like I mentioned earlier. So exchange, there are many opportunities to exchange. We are partners with 240 institutes globally in Asia, in North America, in Europe, in Middle East. So wherever students wish to go, I believe universities, their dream university, they can have to spend a full semester in these dream university and experience the cultural differences. And internships, 85% of our students have at least 1 internship, 60% have 2 internships, 16% have even 3 internships, and there are many have 5 internships, just to prepare them to be ready for the real world, to be career ready. And then there are competitions, case competition for business students, there are robotics for engineering or science students. So apply what they learn in the classroom in the real world. That's, again, very important. So experience learning, very flexible curriculum to find out their true passion. That's all very important to us.
Okay, so thus far we've been talking about the university experience, and we've been focusing mainly on students who are getting ready to apply to university. Let's shift gears a little bit. Do you have any advice for parents of younger international students at the grades 9 and 10 level of how they can navigate and best prepare their child for a highly competitive admissions process? Let's start with Anayat.
I think I'll come back to something Nicholas mentioned earlier, which is prerequisites. I think for us, preparation for a selective university entails making sure that you're academically prepared. And often what students don't realize, or often realize by the time it's too late, is that for certain subject areas or to read a particular degree course, you must have a certain combination of, APs or selective have selected the right electives in your final years of study. And so whether that's calculus, whether that is a particular branch of science, whether that's a essay-based or an essay-based program, students need to know what those combinations are, because if you don't have the necessary combination or necessary subject areas in your final years of high school, you may not be able to apply to certain subjects. So what I'd say to the young students is it's always difficult to completely identify what exactly you want to do. I'm still trying to figure it out. But what I would say to students is if you can get some kind of indication or work with your support network, whether that's your counselors, whether that's your parents or your friends or your peers or your siblings even, try and find your calling to some extent so you know which subjects will appeal more to your kind of long-term goals. For example, if you're leaning towards STEM, then perhaps it's worth focusing on the sciences and the maths. If you're, looking at humanities type of subjects, then have a think about essay-based subjects that are rather traditional and offer some of those hard skills that you can transfer to a variety of courses. If you are undecided, then it's worth trying to select a combination that will leave as many doors open as possible. So that is what I'd say to the younger students. Have a think about what subjects you want to pursue, and then what subjects you'd need in high school to get there. And also have a think about the super curricular that we were talking about earlier as well. The sooner students start building their portfolio of super curricular activity, the more they have to rationalize by the time they come to actually making a submission for an application. What I mean by that is, again, we're not prescriptive about what activities you actually do and how many of those activities that you do, but it's no secret that the more you do, the more you have an opportunity to not only build on the previous activity and increase your level of knowledge and experience, but also when you come to writing your personal statement or explaining the activities that you've done, you can start to be a bit more selective and rationalize. You know, if you've done 10 activities, you can pick the 5 most impactful or the 3 most impactful. Whereas if you've only done 3, you're probably going to have to talk about all 3 regardless of the level of impact. So I'd say if you start younger and you have the opportunity to build on that, then you're probably in a much better position than somebody who might not have. So that would be my couple of pieces of advice there.
I think that's great advice. And I think that also ties into our earlier question about those summer programs. This is an opportunity for students to try out those subjects and figure out what they want. So I'll move to Zorian. What would your advice be for parents of grades 9 and 10?
More or less similar, like what Inaya has already mentioned, but we are not a comprehensive university, first of all. We are a research university, so we only have 5 schools as of now. So science and engineering, business and management, humanities, and social science, and then a quarter of our programs are interdisciplinary ones. So very likely you probably need to have math as one of your selective or elective courses or subjects, because that would be pretty much required by science, by engineering, while math is not a prerequisite. The finance-related majors would expect you to have math or senior level math. So that would definitely give you more, just like I said, open many doors for you. While humanities and social science don't have any subject requirement, but then so it's quite all right if you select whatever subject you enjoy. And I would just like to stress again the flexibility parts. If you are interested in any of in HKUST in general, or in any of the 4 schools or 5 schools of HKUST, just remember we are very flexible. You don't have to fix on your major when you apply to HKUST. You can choose 2 options, your application choices, and if you're admitted to any of them, the first year is absolutely for you to explore around. So just remember that you don't have to fix on, I'm a physics person, I have to choose physics. I'm into chemical engineering, I have to apply to chemical engineering. It's not like that. You apply to the school, you apply to engineering, you apply, if you're interested in math, you apply to science. So you apply to the whole school. And even you are admitted to the school, you can still change at the end of the first year. So we just like to tell the student and parents, you can choose whichever subject you like. Math would be important. If you are more inclined to the science or STEM area, then probably one of the science subjects. You can buy computer studies, one of them. Then pretty much HKUST, all programs you can apply to. That's one part. And then just remember, we're very flexible. So that's us.
Wonderful. So Nicholas, what would you say to a parent of a 9th or 10th grader? How best should they prepare for a highly competitive admissions process?
So first and foremost, the first thing I always tell parents, even though some parents don't like to hear that, but I always try to tell them that the first thing that they need to do is understand their kids' interests. All right, and I feel like if you're in ninth grade, usually when parents come with ninth grade students to either meetings or I see them at fairs or anything of that nature, I always try to tell them in front of their kids. I'd be like, "What is your kid's interest?" It's very something that certain parents I feel sometimes are like, "Oh, yeah, but he's going to STEM," but you're like, oh, does he even like science, or does he have any idea what is science all about? So I always tell them, if ninth, fifth, 10th grade, I always tell them to prepare themselves. It's very important to know what their interest is. Why do I say that? Is because even though McGill is an academically based only school, most of the students that enter our programs, that get into the program, they know what they want to do with their life. They're very aware of where they're trying to go and what path they're trying to get into. If you enter school this competitive and you don't have interest in the field that you got accepted in, or you don't want to go down this path, it's going to be something that's going to be very hard for you. All right, because you're not only not competing, but you're not having the same motivation as the same level as the other students that are going to be in your classroom, or these people that are going to be your future classmates. So that definitely is a recipe for failure. So once they definitely enter the school, I tell them to maybe focus, depending on what you want to do. If you want to go into science, is definitely focus on your math, focus on your science programs. Make sure that at least I wouldn't say always, but at least try to stay in the top of the classes when it comes to these programs, because as well, we're a very competitive school, and we base only ourselves on grades. So grades are the way that usually students enter a program. If you have lacks of or difficulties in certain classes, take the time to talk with your professors, that's the teachers at school. Stay back, even if you don't have to, even if you're passing classes. If you think your grades are that high, it's okay. If they're not, make sure you take classes, extra classes, read, get more informed. Try to make sure that you're aware of your schooling and how high the levels are required before you enter a school. All our grades are are directly on our website. So in the admission process, students could look at admission and how to apply, how to apply, and see the admission requirements and see the last grades of the last students that have got admitted in their programs. So that also gives them an idea where to base themselves off. But definitely, if you're in 9th to 10th grade, you could also take part. 9th grade you can, unfortunately, but 10th grade you could take part in the McGill Summer Academy as well. So that could help the student make a more valid choice, understand if they want to spend time in Montreal. Is there too much French for them? Not enough French? Is it something that's more functional? Do they feel safe? Do they feel in a good place? So I was telling them McGill Summer Academy is a good place to be able to make a final decision. But 9th and 10th grade, 9th, I would go with maybe work on the development of interest, try to make sure that we know where the interest is, and after that, apply those interests to the prerequisites required to enter McGill University.
Fantastic advice. I find sometimes families and students get so fixated on a school that they forget that the point of the school is to pursue their passion. And so it's really important that they know what it is they want to do and why they want to do it.
Exactly.
So fantastic. Last question for the night. Beyond academics, what personal qualities do you feel are most important to have a successful and positive university experience? So Inayat, back to you.
Thank you, Anita. Actually, what you just said is a nice little segue for me. So to answer your question, to start off with, resilience and tenacity. I think when you're applying to a selective university, one of the things you're signing up for is a process that is rather vigorous, rather time-consuming. It's very taxing on your mental capacity during that period of time. For example, our admission process runs roughly between September and December of your final year. Often times is the case that students are applying to multiple destinations, they're applying to multiple universities, they'll have a variety of entry admission assessments and interviews to give, sometimes on the same day with clashing dates. And so students need to be prepared for opportunity cost. They need to understand that, one thing may have an effect on another thing. And as a result, how are they prioritizing their assessments, their interviews, their schoolwork? Because in theory, nothing can really give. If you're putting your efforts into an interview for a university, but then your schoolwork is suffering and you don't end up receiving the grades that you're expected to receive, then it doesn't really help kind of anyone during that process. So one thing that students need to be prepared for is that burden during the application process of managing their time. In addition to that, I think it's worth mentioning, like you said, Anita, that university isn't the destination, it's the vehicle to your destination. And so, again, going back to a few of the themes that were touched upon today, both by Zorian and Nicholas, is that students need to know why they're applying for the institution they're applying for. Let the course dictate the institution rather than the other way around. We see it every year where students decide on Cambridge first and then try and retrofit their interests to the courses that we offer, and often is the case that it doesn't work so well that way around. And that's because, again, like Nicholas said earlier, if you don't have a particular interest, or if you're trying to develop an interest as you go, you just won't perform as highly, particularly in a competitive environment where, those who have gone through the natural process of this being the right course for them and that preparation in advance, they tend to progress better. And so to try and keep up, you may find that you're rather miserable and you don't enjoy it so much. So I want students to really find that the course they're applying for is right for them, the institution that they're applying for is right for them, and that will be part and parcel of a positive experience. Beyond that, I think bringing the right attitude, understanding the purpose of university, and that purpose may differ between student to student, but whatever that individual purpose is, as much as it fits the university's ethos, and the university has the tools to offer you and the resources to offer you a platform for your interests, that would also make for a positive experience. So whether that is clubs and societies, whether that is sports outside of your academia, whether that is more academic societies, whether that's an opportunity to explore a new country that you're quite interested in, or a new area of research, or working with particular researchers, all of these things and other factors are individual to each student, and that individuality is what we're looking for, and that individuality is what will determine a positive or a negative experience. So we really hope students can tap into themselves, be honest to themselves, and bring that honesty and that excitement to their institution. And hopefully it will be picked up by their peers, and everybody will be there to support each other to the very end.
Fantastic. This has just been such a great panel. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure that our viewers are going to be very excited about what they're hearing. So let's just wrap it up, and I'll get some final thoughts from everyone. We'll start with Nicholas.
Yes, so definitely, but on the question or just a final thought? We're still running on the question, right?
You can answer the question, or just if you have anything that you want to make sure that everyone hears before we sign off.
No, it's okay. Perfect. Well, definitely a final thought. We'll make it real quick. I just wanted to say definitely something to be able to succeed and achieve, to be able to make it at McGill University. I would say one thing would be resilience, then determination, and definitely not being afraid to fall, because it is definitely not an easy place to be, but with you could come in and it's definitely like a supportive leader, like learning environment. But if you fall, there's definitely places and everybody's there to help you to get back up. So definitely on my last thought is work, and never give up. And people say it's impossible to make it in, but people do it every year. So I tell people it's definitely a possibility. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. Zorian, final thoughts. What would you like to say to everyone?
So we are in Asia. If you're not from Asia and you decide to go to or join in university in Asia, be really open-minded for the cultural differences. While Hong Kong is very international, HKUST is the most international university in Hong Kong. We are the majority of the students are Chinese or Chinese background. So do embrace the differences of cultures there. And then to be successful during the 4 years, I will always say, just try everything. There are many opportunities available, but not just HKUT, of course, but all the great universities globally, they do provide a lot of opportunities for you. Be open-minded and try different things during the 4 years. It's probably the best time for you to, you have all 4 years, the courses and lectures won't take up the majority of your time. The majority of your time will be outside classroom. And that's probably maybe more important than your classroom or assignment work. Experience all the differences, the internship, exchange, the competitions, the extracurriculars, make friends from around the world, learn the differences, and just prepare yourself, be a person that you'll be ready to take on any challenge upon graduating the university.
Wonderful. Inayat, last word is for you.
I just want to say thank you, Anita. Thank you to the hosts and yourself for having Cambridge here today. It's been an honor to share the platform with Zorian and Nicholas and representing such fantastic institutions. I will say to the students that everything we've said today, you don't have to take our word for it. You can go onto our platform. I'm sure each individual institution has something to offer. If I may do a cheeky plug, we have Unibody on our platform, on our website, where you can speak to our current students. Some of them are international students, some of them are studying at colleges that you're interested in, and some of them are studying courses that you might be interested in. So I highly encourage the students or prospective applicants to speak to our current students and get a feel for what their experience might be like. And hopefully that'll help them going forward as well. Again, thank you so much for having me. And if you have any more questions, then we're always available through our multiple channels. So you just need to find us on our website and we'll be happy to respond.
Thank you so much. So we had an excellent discussion today with these illustrious representatives from these fantastic schools, and I hope that you all enjoyed it as much as we do. And so we'll say good night or good morning from wherever you happen to be tuning in. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.